Well, good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. Good to have you with us. 2020 is thankfully in the rearview mirror. So this morning, we're looking ahead to the new year. Here in local politics and on Beacon Hill, with two of the outstanding reporters for the must-read wire service of Beacon Hill, the State House News Service, Matt Murphy and Katie Lannan. Happy New Year to both of you. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, John.
Happy New Year.
So because of holiday schedules here at WBZ, we're taping this segment significantly further in advance than we normally do. But by now, it's likely that the powerful position of Speaker of the House up on Beacon Hill has changed hands from Robert DeLeo to Ron Mariano of Quincy. Matt, I want to start with you here. What does this mean, and does it represent any kind of significant change from the DeLeo era?
I mean, there's no way that there won't be some change here. Bob DeLeo ran the House, the longest serving speaker in the history of Massachusetts. Past 12 years, he has had his hand on every major bill and every budget that has passed in this state. But through much of it, Ron Mariano, a Quincy Democrat, 4 years DeLeo's elder, actually, and they entered the legislature the same year in 1991, has been right there by his side. There wasn't much that happened that Mariano and DeLeo weren't in agreement on. And I think as we watch to see what a Mariano leadership style looks like, we're going to see much the same out of him. We believe that he will keep many of the players that we've seen in DeLeo's leadership circle intact. Many of the staff may also remain the same. So it could be a rather smooth transition, not an abrupt change in direction for the House.
Katie, Speaker DeLeo was known for being skeptical of broad-based tax hikes. And in unison with Governor Baker, that represented a sort of a block to the Senate's tax-raising instincts that chafed a lot of progressives, that's for sure. Any change with Mariano with regard to tax policy, do you expect?
I mean, that's a really good question. And I would say the answer lies not only in what a Mariano speakership will look like, but how the state's economy rebounds from COVID-19 and the associated economic crisis, how this budget cycle ultimately ends up. If there's we don't know what federal aid numbers are going to look like, and it might be a matter of the economy more than a matter of personal preferences on behalf of Ron Mariano or whoever else in the legislature.
Well, speaking of Baker, believe it or not, the 2022 governor's race is definitely underway. We already have on the Democratic side, a Harvard professor who's pulled papers, and there'll be a lot more of that to come during this year. Briefly, because we have a break coming up, Katie, let's start with you. Of course, the big question is, will Governor Baker seek a third term? He'd be the first governor in a century, I believe, to try that trick. All my sources say they have no idea. What about yours?
Well, I hate to argue with any of your sources, John. I know you're well sourced there, but that really is kind of the big looming question, right? Will he go for it? Will Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito kind of step up into the spotlight and be almost a Baker term 3, although she'd have her own, priorities there? It still remains to be seen. He hasn't ruled it out, but we don't have a definite answer.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, he's got to make up his mind fairly soon, because if he isn't running and he wants to help Karen Polito, she's got to get going on fundraising and organization, right?
She would have to start. She does have the benefit of having been raising money as lieutenant governor. She does have a war chest that she's sitting on to start with, so there is that. But you're right, I don't think that the governor, if he has made his mind, has told many people, political advisors, people close to him, say they don't know what he's going to do. And the question is, like DeLeo, people around DeLeo suggesting that this session with the pandemic was tiring. It bore down on him and maybe helped convince him that it was time to leave. The question with the governor is, does he feel that same sort of level of exhaustion, or does he feel like this sapped him of some of the things he wanted to get done that would require a third term? So I think he's going to have to decide rather quickly. candidates will start to jump in, but he is a big question mark.